Legal limit reached. No more.
Welcome to Vanderpump, guys.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are here to talk about Vanderpump Rules Season 11, The Reunion. Hello, old friend.
Hello. I got to say right off top, my new friend Micah said that he loves all the titles of episodes, and I got to give all credit to Brian, who comes up with all the Ken-related titles.
Thank you. But as a special treat, live on air, I would like you, Ryan, to come up with the title for our final episode of this season. What is it?
I think it's got to be Kenunion, right?
Kenunion. So good.
Wasn't that already in the show notes? Didn't you already come up with it? I'm pretty sure.
Did I? I completely forgot that if I made that. But you get the credit on it because it's been 4 weeks since we potted. I don't think either of us remember how to do it. What was it? Ariana cheated on Tom?
That sounds about right. That's what I remember.
Just for a peek behind the curtain of our production process, Ryan, how long would you say we just spent adjusting our volume?
An hour, at least.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's probably I'm probably going to listen back. Like, here's the thing is, like, I actually enjoy our podcast and would just, like, listen to it, just, like, driving around. But I get so annoyed by if our volumes don't sound perfect that I just shut it off immedially.
Yeah. Have they ever sounded perfect in any of them?
There was one that sounded really good. We should build a time machine so we can figure that out.
Like season 6 Lost. We gotta go back.
Yeah. And also we should say right off the top
season 4.
that we will be back in about 2 weeks with our new show, Salt Lake City, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City recap. Brian and I have never seen it. I've like glimpsed some of the controversial stuff that happens in like season 3 and 4. I think they're on season 3 or 4 right now. But yeah, we're coming in fresh. So we'll be recapping 2 episodes of that in a couple weeks. So that's something to look forward to. But let's start off with, how do you feel, Brian, about this season of Vanderpump Guys? I mean, Vanderpump Rules.
Vanderpump Guys. I have 2 very different opinions based on our podcast and based on that season. I mean, I didn't hate this season. It was a little messy. It felt like the audience was being produced at times. I feel like a lot of people want Tom Sandoval completely off the show at this point.
I am that person. I'm that person who wants Tom Sandoval off the show.
My issue with that opinion is just, what is the show if he's not there? It's just like everyone, two nice women running a sandwich shop and everyone going to James's DJ sets. And I don't know, people are here for the drama and Tom's bringing the drama.
It's interesting. Yeah. Here's the thing is, like, they did have that one season a few seasons back where they tried to introduce like new people who work at Pump or at Sir, and it just didn't work. Like people just didn't like they tried to do like, and this happens a lot of times with shows like Scrubs tried to do it. Like they tried to introduce like a new group of people, and people are like, actually, I still want to just follow the people who it was originally about, even though they're not working at this restaurant anymore. So it is kind of like a unique problem. And this is the only credit that I'll give Lala, who otherwise I just found to be utterly despicable. Or despicable is a strong word. I feel like I would like Lala if I ran into her, but I just think her behavior was like not cool. And but I'll give her this credit. I'll give her this point. is that she's trying to make the show about something, and I just feel like the show's not really about anything anymore, you know?
Yeah, I did really like that exchange between Lala and Ariana where they're like arguing over self-producing the ending of the show. And Lala's calling Ariana out for walking out. And Ariana's like, well, if you care about the show so much, I gave you the better ending than letting Tom Sandoval control the ending and have the conversation that he was trying to self-produce. And I self-produced by walking off. And then Lala's like, no, 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 I gave us the ending by telling you off after you did that ending. It's like all three of them had their own ending.
But it's also like Lala just keeps, like, Lala desperately wants to be the main character on the show. I mean, Scheana has said in the past, I think it was on a after show where she's like, I've never had a season where the season's about me, where it's about like me and, you know, and then people are kind of like, no, there have been things about you. But like when Lala at the reunion tried to walk off and everybody's just like, you're not walking off. But then also like she didn't have the courage of her conviction. Like, why didn't she just keep walking? You know, everybody just said, you're not allowed to walk off. And then she said, how come Ariana's allowed to walk off and not me? And it's like, Ariana walked. Like, you got to keep walking, bro. Like, it's just,
yeah, it's like the producers said the same thing to Ariana while as she was walking off. You can hear them in the episode. They're like, Ariana, no, don't leave. It's like the same thing they said to Lala, but she's like, what? Well, I guess I can't go then.
And there's also just something so weird about how Lala claims, I could talk about Lala this whole time. Lala claims that like, oh, Randall, like that people weren't sympathetic to her when she had her breakup with Randall. Imagine if Randall had stayed on Vanderpump Rules. Like, Tom Schwartz went to play pickleball with Randall, maybe thinking, oh, maybe he's going to stay on the show or something. I don't know what. And it's like she shut that down immediately. Meanwhile, Lala is insisting not only that Tom Sandoval stay on the show, but that Ariana have conversations with him. Like, it just feels so messed up. And Lala is just being so hypocritical and saying, like, these are our lives. When your relationship with Randall ended, he was out of your life and you didn't, you know, like film anything with him anymore. And yet Lala is insisting that Ariana film stuff with Sandoval. It just feels like such a double standard.
Yeah, it feels like she never quite matured to the point where she learned to use her words thoughtfully. She developed her fan base when she was, 20 years old maybe, and had that fiery temper, shoot from the hip, sharp mouth. And now, like, as a 40-year-old mother, it's just kind of a sad, unacceptable persona that she's adopted.
Well, okay, first of all, Lala's 33, which is
all right.
Which is
I
also
overshot it a bit.
But no, I mean, there is something where it's like people, I think she's had like some work done maybe like a little early, you know, where it's kind of like she looks a little older than she should. But no, she's only 33 years old. I think she looks good. Yeah, no, we're not here to comment on women's appearances. Even though I just did, but so let's break down the reunion. So that you got the whole group here. You got James, Katie.
Wait, was
Ariana.
James there? I don't remember seeing James at all for like
James.
90%
The most interesting. I mean, if you talk about somebody who beat the we need to talk about your life allegations. Like, at one point, Tom Sandoval is like, I've heard stuff about you, James. And James just, like, shut it down real fast. Like, you haven't heard anything about me. And I'm like, no, I've heard stuff about you, James. And they just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Should we talk about what we've heard about James?
Yeah, floor is yours. What have you heard about James?
Well,
abuse allegations?
Yeah, Kristen Doty accuses him of abuse while they were together. And then I think it was Teddy Mellencamp, who used to be on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She said that she was in a car with James and Allie, and that they were screaming at each other and arguing so much that they had to get out of the car, like Teddy Mellencamp and her friend. And it's just the kind of thing where, like, there's no reason to make that up, you know? And there is, granted, Allie, I think this was probably when James was drinking, maybe, but Allie has said if James started drinking again, she would leave him, and that just to me feels like a red flag in a way. Like I'm just sort of like curious about what James' behavior, was like while he was drinking, and
Yeah,
then
I'm sure it
also,
was terrible.
yeah, and Rachel on her podcast has said that James would like scream at Hippie, formerly FKA Graham, and that's why Graham became violent. It's like, I'll take everything Rachel says with a like grain of salt, but uh, but I just think that James has like a dark side that the show never explores, and yeah, I'm very curious about if any of that stuff ever comes out in a kind of like official manner.
Yeah, it seems like Andy Cohen is a little more focused in prying into the real hard-hitting issues, like, James, do you think the editors did you dirty with those plane shots? Like, every Andy take is just such a softball. He loves every Sandoval joke. I've never rolled my eyes more in like 1 hour than this Sandoval reunion. Like, his comedy hour has gone to a next level. He's got the thing he says to Scheana. Man, I woke up with lockjaw and shit out a condom 2 weeks ago. No idea what that even means.
What does that mean?
They're like asking him about Jax. Like, so Sandoval, how's your relationship with Jax now? Nothing below the waist, Andy. The thing with Katie where he's like, yeah, we're gonna go bang it out later.
So gross. Tom Sandoval, disgusting human.
Awful.
I also thought it was straight sexism that Brock was on the reunion and not Allie. Like, I feel like they were both equally, like, neither of them are in the opening credits. They're both kind of like featured people. How come
Isn't
Allie
Brock
wasn't
in the opening credits?
He's not.
I think he is.
No, it's I can picture it in my mind. It's Tom and Tom. No, sorry, it's Ariana and Katie, and then it's Tom and Tom, and then it's just Scheana and James and Lala.
Really?
He used to be in the opening credits. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was last season or the season before. He was, and he was like removed from the opening credits. Yeah.
Oh man. Get Brock in money there, man.
I'm just saying but do you agree with me that like him and Allie like same level? Like, why isn't Allie have a seat at the
I feel like Brock gets grandfathered in because he was at least in one opening credits at one point. He's an OG, whereas Allie, she's still new. They're feeling her out. They're trying to figure out her deal. I did think there was a very interesting moment between Brock and Allie in this reunion where Allie's like talking about her astrology reading business, and she makes a mention that she's charging $195 an hour, and they cut to Brock, and he just looks so sad when he hears how much money she's making. He's like, boy, what have I done?
Yeah, I saw a I mean, this is like not a journalistically responsible thing to report, so we're not reporting it, but somebody had a blind item about a payroll husband who's been sliding into
I saw that
Aussie's DMs, and people speculated it might be Brock. We don't know this, but if Brock is...
No, it's confirmed. It definitely is Brock based on my intuition.
So yeah, I don't know. And then who else was at the reunion? And then Katie didn't really do much this season. I mean, if we're keeping it a buck.
Katie's barely there. She gets that line in on Sandoval where they're like arguing, you don't like me. No, you don't like me. And then she's like, choke. I don't care.
And it's also this thing where it's like, yeah, I don't know. It makes sense that you wouldn't. Oh, I see. You named the podcast the Reunion. That's better. That's
wait, that's terrible. What?
No,
the Reunion?
That's what it says.
Didn't you say Kenunion?
No, I
I
like.
think yours is better. Well,
Oh,
right
wow.
into the Vanderpump guys Gmail. Let us know which title you think is better, even though you're going to be listening to this after it's already named. No, they'll figure it out.
And well, let's jump into some listener questions.
Great idea.
So
I love a
yeah,
mailbag segment.
so Mia from Baltimore, who is my girlfriend Gabrielle's sister-in-law. Hi Mia. She writes, I find it kind of interesting that Ariana is comfortable being in a long distance relationship immediately after being cheated on. I would expect the trust to be difficult there, but I also tried looking it up on Reddit and found no one else saying the same thing. So I might be alone on this thought. What do you guys think?
Thank you for your question, Mia. You might be our first. Well, no, I won't say our first real writer in her because everyone's real, but this one really hits home. Yeah, I feel like Ariana really is in a weird headspace and needs to establish like very thick walls, and she comes in very measured into this whole reunion. She's so composed. She hasn't watched like any of the show. And I think maybe what works about Dan for her is she's completely kind of in control. She has the natural boundary, and I don't know. I think she's in the driver's seat now, and maybe that's a good. I don't know if it's sustainable, but I think it's good for now. She's so busy. It's just a very. She needs a long distance relationship at this moment.
Yeah, I also think of like something that my old therapist in New York, Deborah, shout out to Deborah, would say, which was basically that people have these ideas about, you know, you should be single for a long time after you're in a long relationship, or that. But Deborah would say that like it's natural for people to want to be in a relationship, and you can't kind of like set these rules like, hey, I dated somebody for 10 years, so I have to take 3 years and be single. Like if you meet somebody, you should explore it. And I agree with you that I think there is something where maybe the long distance is actually helpful for her because yeah, she's getting to know him through conversations. Whereas like it felt like her connection with Sandoval at the beginning at least was more kind of like physical, and that a lot of these questions about who he really was and what his deal was and is he a perpetual cheater, they came out later. But I think there is something about that she can kind of be in control of things and move at her own pace. I also found it very telling that something that you don't really think about, but that they were like, how come Dan didn't go on this, I forget when they went on the boat maybe. And Ariana's like, he's not being paid. And it's like, it's something I don't really think about, but it's like a lot of times these people aren't paid and they're just showing up on camera hoping to like kind of cause trouble and be interesting enough to get in the show. Shout out to James, shout out to Lala, shout out to Brock, and I I don't know. He seems like a genuine guy. I'm a Dan guy. I like him. I don't know.
Dan guy. It is wild that during that whole exchange where Andy's kind of countering, well, Brock did it for free. Like Andy Cohen just can't fathom the idea that someone would not want to be on this show that makes everybody look fucking terrible, no matter who you are. Like, look at what they did to Joe. Like, what they did to anyone who goes on this show is just.
I don't know though. The Joe
destroyed.
stuff. Have you been following some of the Joe stuff? Did you hear about Joe and Schwartz's sister?
Yeah. They went out one night, I believe, and Schwartz's sister completely blocked her. She might be a pathological liar, it seems.
Yeah.
She said something to Schwartz's family about his drug use. They think.
About Schwartz's drug use? I did not know this.
I think that was like the catalyst for Schwartz hard blocking her on all platforms forever.
Okay, but do we think? I mean, I always think anybody who seems a little odd has a drug problem.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we shouldn't speculate on whether Schwartz has a drug problem or not.
I think many people on the show are casual drug users. I mean, you have that whole exchange with Sandoval and Ariana. Where like they made out at a music festival, and he's like, "We were rolling on drugs." Ariana's like, "That's rude." They've talked about it. They came up with the Schwartz and Sandy's name like just by doing mushrooms one night. Like, there's a lot of recreational drug use happening. Did you hear the follow-up Joe response to that Schwartz going on Brittany and Jax's podcast?
No, what was her response?
12 hours ago, Joe went on Billy Lee's podcast to respond. And there wasn't a lot of Schwartz talk, but there was a lot of Sandoval talk because now Billy Lee has completely banned Sandoval. And she told her story.
There? What happened there?
You know how Sandoval has that new girlfriend, Victoria?
Yeah.
Or whatever? And you know how Sandoval and Billy Lee were pretty good friends this season, hanging out one-on-one all the time?
Yeah.
I think Victoria found that very intimidating and was like always nervous they were hooking up. Anytime she'd call, like Sandoval would be like, "Oh, just watching a movie with Billy Lee. Oh, me and Billy Lee are getting our nails done." And I think it was just like a platonic friend thing. But Victoria would get really mad and would start screaming at Sandoval. Once they started dating, he started drinking again. He started doing drugs again. He started
Sandoval's off the wagon.
He started getting opportunities for like commercial spots, and he just wouldn't show up. And it's like when you're in his position and you're vilified by the entire world, you got to start saying yes to commercials.
Yeah.
You don't just not show up. So Billy Lee, the last time she went over to his house, they were like watching a movie. Victoria pulled up in front of the house, left the car running, ran into the house and started screaming at Sandoval, and he started crying, and they went upstairs and just yelled at each other. And basically the next day, Billy Lee tried to do an intervention with Kyle Chan at like Kyle Chan's jewelry shop. She invited like everyone over, but Victoria reads Sandoval's text messages. So she showed up and like flipped out on Billy Lee. And now
what was in Sandoval's text messages?
Billy Lee was typing like a lot of stuff like, "I love you, but this girl is not good for you. Like, she makes you depressed all the time. She's screaming at you. She's jealous. Like, all you guys do is do drugs and get drunk." And Billy Lee was like, "I'm worried about you." And then Victoria read all that and like flipped out on him. So
and
Billy
Victoria's
Lee
the one
set
she used to date. Boundary. She used to date
Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Did you see apparently Billy Lee was saying Victoria would call her and be like, "I'm so embarrassed to be dating Tom. Like, I used to date Leonardo DiCaprio and A-listers, and now everyone hates my boyfriend." And yeah, it seems like kind of a toxic thing.
There was a weird moment where I think it was on Sandoval recently was on Watch What Happens Live, and Victoria was in the audience, and Andy asked him how long they've been dating, and Sandoval said 3 or 4 months, and then they cut to Victoria, and she looked kind of like annoyed, like it was unclear if like they've been dating longer, and or that he like just didn't remember how long they've been dating. I don't know.
Oh, Sandoval.
Wait, didn't we get a listener question on Instagram?
Oh yeah, we did. Let's take a look. Pulling up the Instagram.
And for people who want to write in, it's vanderpumpguys@gmail.com, and we'll change the name of the podcast when we start talking about Salt Lake, but I think we'll keep the Vanderpump Guys at Gmail as the email address for people to write in.
Yeah, that won't get confusing. It'll be good.
Okay, fine. We'll change. I'll make a new one. No.
Oh yeah, we do have an Instagram message from Johnny Boy 23782. Dear Brian and Ryan, how do you feel about Tom Sandoval getting announced to be on Traitors season 3?
Now I need to know, is that a real message, or did you, because I thought you said that we had an Instagram message. Is that real?
Yeah, it's completely real. Johnny Boy 2, 3, 2, 3.
Why did you think we had a message, but we didn't actually?
You know what, Ryan? Over the years, not to break the fourth wall, but it's time for a plot twist.
Yeah.
Some of our mailbag in the early stages of this show has not been entirely accurate.
But we were just
there was an alleged Tom Schwartz email that may or may not have actually been the real Tom Schwartz.
But my thing is, I was like, "Oh, we got a listener question," and then you unprompted said, we also got one on the Instagram," and I was like, "Oh, okay," but we didn't.
Yeah, it was the Traitors thing.
Oh, okay.
How do you feel about that?
Have you seen the previous seasons of Traitors?
No, I've never seen it.
Have you? Gabrielle really likes it. She keeps trying to get me to watch it, but I haven't watched it. But I will watch the Sandoval season. Is it premiering soon?
I think they just announced on The View the cast.
So it'll probably be a while. Yeah.
I don't know the format of the show, but is it something like being a terrible liar would benefit you?
It's basically. I watched one episode. It's basically like, I forget the number of people, but maybe you have you start off with I don't know, 15 people, and 2 of them are traitors, or maybe 2 or 3 of them are traitors, and you have to try to figure out who it is, and then a group comes together, and they will say, vote on who they think is a traitor, and at that point the person reveals no, I'm actually, they call it faithful. I'm a faithful. And so they end up kicking out all these people who aren't traitors. Oh, and then the traitors will also, in the middle of the night or something like that, they'll go up to somebody and hand them an envelope that says you're dead. And so then the next day it'll be
dead.
And so then those people get kicked off, and they obviously know who the traitor is. I'm probably explaining this wrong, but it's something like that. It's kind of remember Mafia, a game like that.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Didn't we used to play that back in the day? The Mafia Boys, Brian and Ryan.
Oh, was that? Did we play that on the
RA training in college?
Or maybe that. I was gonna say on tour with the 2010 cadets.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've played Mafia at one point in our lives. You know what we should do? We should move into a house like Tom and Tom and be roommates when we hit 42.
I gotta know when the update is coming about when Tom is. I assume he's selling the house now, and then him and Schwartz will buy another smaller house together or something.
Yeah, it seems that way. My favorite thing during that conversation in the reunion, Tom Sandoval dropped a nugget that I'm obsessed with and I need to know everything about. He was getting very defensive, as he does, and he says, my dad is 60 and he has roommates. I need to know everything about Tom Sandoval's 60-year-old father and his roommates.
Yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with that too. Also, he hasn't paid back his mom yet.
Pay back your mom, bro.
Pay back your mom, bro.
Pay back your mom. You see that car he was driving?
Yeah. Come on, bro. Pay back your mom.
Sell the car. Get a Honda Civic. Pay back your mom.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I guess the big moment of the reunion is when they play the final minutes of the last episode for the cast. Ariana immediately starts crying, and I've seen online people saying, and I think they're correct, that this was clearly done to try to force Ariana to have a conversation with Sandoval, to get her to break down. She was on, I think, Katie's podcast, saying that she felt kind of, targeted by it. And yeah, I don't know, it just seemed like, in retrospect, kind of at the beginning, it's oh, that's going to be good TV, but it does kind of feel like a shitty thing to do, I think.
Yeah, because given that what the footage in those 10 minutes, like, it's not new. It means nothing to Scheana and Lala. They were there. They know what they filmed. It means nothing to Sandoval. He was like grinning through it the whole time. Like, the only person that would be for is for Ariana. It's the producers forcing her to have that conversation 100%. And she obviously avoided watching this entire season so she could just kind of wall off those emotions and not deal with it. But now she gets to see how what everyone's saying about her. And yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah. And there's also something about like, I don't know. You shouldn't have to watch the show that you're on, like the work is filming, being available to film, and then like forcing you, like, like Clockwork Orange style, like holding your eyeballs open and being like, watch this. It like kind of sucks, because yeah, she mentioned that she was contractually obligated to be at the reunion. So if they sit her down and they're like, you have to watch this, it's like, what is she gonna do? Like I don't know. There's just something about like, it feels really gross. It's the big question. Will Ariana be on Vanderpump Rules season 12? Will there be a season 12? Gabrielle had a good argument, which is like Ariana still needs this as a platform. But I think at a certain point, it's like, man, if Love Island goes well, if maybe she gets another Broadway thing, or the Broadway thing leads to a film or TV like narrative thing, maybe at that point she can say, I'm out. Like, or maybe it's just not worth it for her financially to and emotionally to be on the show. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, she's got to get booked on Saturday Night Live as a host. That's when she's gonna break. I don't think she'd be the best host of this entire group, but I think she's the most likely host. But they do a lot of Vanderpump jokes on that show. It's gonna be time.
Musical guest Tom Sandoval and the most extras. And your host Joe. Joe would kill.
Joe would absolutely kill. She'd bring so many characters.
Yeah, she'd have like 7 iconic like Kristen Wiig characters right off the bat.
Like, Joe would get Sarah Sherman fired by taking that utility role. Imagine all the wacky Weekend Update desk pieces Joe would be bringing to that show.
Oh, absolutely. It's an interesting question. My thought on Ariana is also like the fact that she did this season with Tom Sandoval as part of it. She's tough as nails, So this might have been the worst of it, And I think it's still like one of the most popular shows on Bravo. I see on Peacock, it's like often number 1 or in the top, shows. So I feel like there is appetite for more seasons. And if she could get through season 11, I think there's an argument to be made that she could go like 5 more seasons if she wants to. The question is, does she want to?
Yeah, I think. Well, you know what? We do viral TikTok moments on this show a lot. We've had a lot of TikToks on here that have been very successful, and
absolutely.
I'd like to take a minute to do a viral TikTok, if you don't mind.
Well, hold on a second. Because I just don't know. Is this manufactured via virality?
What do you mean by that?
I love it. I just want to know. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so start now. TikTok.
Okay. All right. Wait, how long's the TikTok?
It's not. It can be like a couple minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Okay.
This TikTok goes out to my dear friend Lala Kent. So Lala, you're all about being real, aren't you? Well, let's be real, Lauren. You were cast to be on this show. Lala, not a part of the original friend group. James, Brittany, Ariana, Brock, they were all brought in naturally. Lala entered Vanderpump Rules bragging about being a sugar baby, giving BJs for PJs, all while she's dating a married guy in real life and lying about it on the show. Then she goes public about dating Randall on social media while saying they broke up on Vanderpump Rules. And then ultimately, Lala leaves the show entirely because she couldn't handle the backlash, only to come back season later, make the cast sign NDAs, all the while harassing Randall's wife on social media, making vulgar comments like, maybe if Randall's wife kept her vagina tight, Randall wouldn't have cheated on her, posting the children on Instagram without permission. And ironically, you know who defended and supported Lala through all of this? Ariana. Lala's anger about the differences in how she was treated with Randall when he cheated versus how Ariana's being treated now is bonkers. This isn't about Ariana not being authentic. It's about Lala's jealousy. I personally believe after Stassi left the show, Lala thought she was next in line to be the queen bee. She thought Randall Gate would get all that dream for her, and instead got overshadowed, and no one cared because she spent years portraying their relationship as transactional. No one believed her and Randall were soulmates. I feel like Lala's always going to harbor that resentment towards Ariana because she will always view Ariana as the person who got the level of fame, success, and opportunities that she feels she deserved. And with that, I have some breaking news that I'd like to break right now, live on Vanderpump Guys. I just traveled from the future, and I'm here to report that Lala has officially quit Vanderpump Rules and joined The Valley Season 2, where she will date and marry the villain of The Valley, Jesse Lally, and rebrand as Lala Lally. Give them Lally. Come at me, Lauren, but please don't, because you're kind of scary.
I'm just terrified that she's gonna come after me. She's gonna be like, "Who's that guy standing next to her with the fettuccine hair?" You know,
hey, fettuccine guy. Yeah, but she's definitely gonna be on The Valley, don't you think?
I could see it. I have not watched past the first episode. Have you stuck with The Valley?
I'm on like episode 8, I think. I've got a few more
it gets good?
to go. It does get good. Yeah.
Oh,
there's a tipping point in the season that if you make it to, it's all uphill, downhill, both hills.
I'm gonna try to get into it. Oh man.
Yeah, check out our Valley recap podcast after our Salt Lake City podcast.
Wow, that was a devastating takedown of Lala. Well argued. I did not know a lot of that stuff. Was that off dome or was that written? Did you have something prepared?
I took a bullet point or two here and there.
Wow.
Because I had to map it out for my brain of like the arc of Lala and Randall. Like they were together, but on the show, Lala would be lying about it, but then in real life, it would be a different thing, and off and on and back and forth, and the hypocrisy with Ariana not being her authentic self.
Yeah.
And to Katie's credit, Lala attacks Katie at one point when Lala is completely unraveling, and she's like, "You said off camera Tom and Ariana were being fake." And Katie's like, "What are you talking about? I said that on camera. Roll the tape." And they play the footage. Katie says it on camera.
Yeah, I do feel like that, you know what's like a very telling thing is we are 39 minutes into this podcast. Scheana has not come up once. Yeah, Scheana kind of had a flop season, huh? There's nothing really going on there.
Like the hard thing about Scheana is she's trying to stay friends with everyone and is just left with no one. And it's really kind of sad. Like by the end, like her brain is breaking and she's like defending Ariana and standing up to Lala. But then Lala is like doing next level abuse tactics. And then Scheana starts apologizing to Lala at the same time. And really hard to watch.
All right. I think let's do an official ranking of the power ranking of everybody this season. So at the bottom, we got Lala, right?
Well,
I guess James.
What
at the bottom.
is the power ranking? Is it like based on entertainment value or like who we would want to be friends with or who we like the most?
I think it's they're on screen and you're like excited to watch them.
Okay.
Maybe Lala's pretty high then.
I would think Sandoval's the floor here. And every time Sandoval comes out, I'm rolling my eyes. But to be fair, that first episode of the season was pretty bad. No Sandoval until the final second he rolls up in the car. The next episode, pretty entertaining.
Okay, so we got Sandoval at the bottom. Second to last, gotta be Lisa Vanderpump, right?
Yeah.
Let's keep it real. Fair. Let's keep it real. What is Lisa bringing? Respect on Jax's name. Like Jax actually sometimes says true things.
Jax is very near the top.
Well, no, we're not including Jax. He's not official cast. Then maybe Scheana?
No. Here I hate to say it, but it's kind of Ariana and Katie. Because they were I mean, the reason is because they were trying to protect, they were creating boundaries. They didn't really have compelling storylines. It's like, oh, here's my FaceTime with Dan scene. Here's my cleaning up the apartment. Here's my cocktail book photo shoot. I'm here for the drama, baby.
So then maybe after Ariana and Katie, James.
I'm always happy to see James. Wait, do we have Lala on the list yet?
Brock's not on the Lala's not on the list yet.
I like seeing James more than I like seeing Lala.
That's fair. I agree. Okay, so we'll put Lala and then Brock. And then
I love seeing Brock.
Is it
I guess
Scheana
we're getting pretty high now.
Scheana below Brock?
They're like in the same tier.
All right, we'll put them tied, Brock and Scheana. I hope you see where I'm going with this. And then we got Schwartz, right? We always love seeing Schwartz.
Is he number one?
No.
Is Joe number one?
No, Joe. We're not including Joe. So we got from the bottom going up. Yeah. Sandoval, Lisa, Ariana, Katie, Lala, Brock and Scheana, Schwartz, James, and then number one has got to be Allie.
No, the list is wrong.
See, that was me. That was me trying to manufacture a TikTok moment, and I did a bad job. I was going to tag Allie. I was going to do the whole thing. We already had our Allie tag of the season, so I think we'll put Allie in the middle.
Yeah, please cut out my aggressive no as soon as you name her at number one. Allie's got to be number one. No.
Imagine if we had a producer. It would be a game changer.
We've talked about it.
If anybody wants to produce this podcast, vanderpumpguys@gmail.com. Hit us up.
Well, it's actually saltlakeguys@gmail.com now.
I got it. People, all of our listeners are just rushing to take up that handle.
Allie does have a good moment in the reunion where Andy's grilling her about marriage, and she's like, I'm not really thinking about that right now because, this isn't really the most inspiring group of people around me.
That was sick. Did people take offense to that? I forget.
How could they not?
I think Allie is gonna dump James at some
Seems
point.
That way, huh?
Although the Girls Girl, I've listened to the Girls Girl song a bunch of times. I can't quite get all the way there on board, but there are certain elements that I enjoy. Yeah. But then I did see a video of them at the Los Angeles book fair doing a performance, and it was rough stuff. It was Allie on the mic, James for some reason on the mic, kind of like just being like, yeah, it was, I gotta send that.
It's a really good James impression.
He's literally just like her hype man on that track. It's a little rough.
He's her number one hype man IRL. So it's kind of a James thing.
I just think the big Allie thing should be something like a guitar singer-songwriter kind of thing. Like, I think it's unfortunate that she's date James, whatever, but she should be collaborating, I think, with somebody who's she has a very soft voice. I think it's more of like a singer-songwriter vibe, not like a dance.
Very soft-spoken. Although she did start to find her voice near the end of this season and really started living for the drama. She was just creeping in the back of scenes like, ooh, what's happening? Let me get involved.
True.
I did like the moment where Andy called out Sandoval on his George Floyd comparison in that New York Times Magazine profile. And then Brock interjects and he's all like, "Oi, I didn't even read it. I'm not paying to read that article. Not selling a farmer's daughter's milk to..." It's like, dude, the article was free. Everybody read it. Nobody paid. There wasn't a paywall. You read it, right? You didn't pay to read it.
I think I do have a subscription, but I think it was I have a New York Times subscription that I think is expiring soon, but I unclear. But yeah, if you read it without the paywall, then you're good. Brock does seem like the type of guy who gets all of his news from like YouTube videos, right?
He does have a nice moment in this reunion though, where he's really speaking from the heart about being a father, and everyone starts crying, and you're shaking your head.
I wasn't really moved by that. I think Brock is fake AF.
You had a problem with Rachel. We just reenacted, you and I, the James calling out Sandoval for rolling his eyes about how Ariana owned both of their animals. And he's like, "You had a problem with Rachel taking Graham away and playing fake daddy, you fake daddy boy."
My favorite,
up, dude.
My favorite moment of the reunion was probably when Brock correctly said that Schwartz was a shitty husband, and Schwartz was like so like clutching the pearls, like, "Oh, me?
How dare you? You cheated on her like 20 times."
That's like revisionist history, the fact that Schwartz thinks he was a good husband.
Yeah, but he does cheer up while he's saying he doesn't regret their marriage and their time together, and Katie tears up, and there's love there.
I really want them to get back together, but I don't think it'll ever happen.
Together.
I would love that. Yeah.
Also, Joe is asked about her latest romantic prospects on the horizon. And she says, "Can you get me in touch with Aaron Rodgers?" What do you think of that couple? Joe, Aaron Rodgers? I love it.
That sounds about right. Yeah. Is Joe vaccinated? That's the question. Dude, I hate question. This is very off the beaten path, but I really hate that Pat McAfee guy. Like I actually
he's pretty aggressive, right?
Well, I remember he like had Caitlin Clark on his show. I saw like a clip and I was like, okay, that's cool, I guess. And then he used like the B word to talk about Caitlin Clark, like, like that white B word. And it's like, I understand he meant it kind of like affectionately, but I'm just like, bro, like you're on ESPN, like you're supposed to be. It's just not professional. It's just not cool. It's sexist. I hate that guy.
Yeah, I don't know much about him. I just remember being at a bar one time and his show was on when it first moved from YouTube to ESPN, and they had like a lower third chyron going that was just like, whatever McAfee says is not an opinion endorsed by ESPN. And they had it for like 2 hours, just at all times. Just so you know, what this guy says, we do not support. We just pay him a lot of money.
I'll say this. If you listen to Pat McAfee, or if you watch Pat McAfee show, we do not want you listening to Vanderpump Guys.
Unless you watch Pat McAfee because he has Joe and Aaron Rodgers on.
Absolutely.
Hard launching a relationship.
That's acceptable. That's how you do a TikTok moment right there.
Yeah. So another thing I was really waiting for in episode 3 of the reunion was the traditionally every reunion for the past 10 seasons, there's a great moment where Peter Madrigal comes out and he gives shots to everyone. Everyone does shots, and it's really nice, and you really see the love between everyone. But as we know, they didn't pay Peter this season, so instead we get
Peter.
Anne. Anne comes out with Kyle Chan. We got Anne and Chan. They got the sandwiches.
No Ken.
No Ken. Where's Ken at? Sandoval cracks a joke like, hey, Anne, you better clean up all these sandwiches. I'm just joking. Classic Sandoval. Eye roll into the back of the head. Awful. Yeah. Then Joe and Allie comes out. And like they just had this like really brutal, heartfelt moment where everyone's crying. Joe comes out with the completely wrong energy. She's like, whoa, sandwich. What are we doing? Oh, it's a lot.
I am famously trying to reduce my carb intake, but I will be eating the insides of a sandwich from Something About Her, and I'll report back during the
Salt please do
the review with no bread, the review of the meat and mayo or whatever.
There was there's a good New York Times review of Something About Her a few days ago.
What did they think?
They said the sandwiches were good, but they wouldn't have a line if the owners weren't famous. And they questioned why the sandwiches were all named after famous people, but seemingly had no connection to the people they were named after.
You got to send me stuff like if you read something Vanderpump related, you send it my way.
Although I apologize.
Even as I say that, I think I have in the past chided you for sending me too much Vanderpump stuff. You can't win.
I just got to strike the right balance. I got to be better.
So Brian, what are your overall takeaways from our first season recapping Vanderpump Rules? Yeah, how do you feel about being a Vanderpump guy?
How do I feel about being a Vanderpump guy? You know, I think it's the greatest honor of my life. I think it's great. You know, you get older in life, your friends move away, you don't have as much time with them. And I think this is a great way where I think you and I, our minds kind of operate in a similar way where it's much easier for us to hang out if we're like doing something productive, something creative, making something, and can kind of justify the guilt of taking social time and not just working. So I think this is a perfect way to thread the needle.
I look forward to it, and I look forward to. I hope one day we're both attached to machines keeping us alive, and we're talking about they brought
Real
back
Housewives
Ken's ghost.
Of Dubai.
They unfroze Ken. Ken is coming back.
Yes.
Real Housewives of the Afterlife. No.
Oh, that's good. By the way, did you see the Roku news?
No, what's that?
Peter Madrigal's reality network hitting Roku this summer. Shout out Peter Madrigal.
A whole network. You could just have it on Roku?
You can, if you're Peter.
All right. Well, that's
should have paid the man, Bravo.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening, and we will be back in 2 weeks with a recap of the first 2 episodes of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
See you in Utah, baby.